Hey guys, it's Flaming Chicken again, back with PSA Is It Worth It? This episode we're doing Raichu. No one asked for it, but I'm certain that y'all will enjoy this one. I was actually a little surprised. I guess I get it because Raichu's technically one of the original Pokemon that beat the absolute shit out of Pikachu in the show. But I always thought Raichu was absolutely dope, and I was actually really upset as a kid that Pikachu never became Raichu. But it is what it is. We'll be moving on. So actually surprising with the Hollow base set Raichu, kind of as is, and yes, I know some of these cards have bend in them, and I'm going to reflatten them, and yes, it's possible to do that without losing grade of the card. So this one here, and this one, and this one, and this one. These Raichus, as is, near mint, ungraded. Yeah, there's some whiting, but as is, goes for $13. The reason why it's surprising is because the other Raichus, most of the other Raichus, and what you're seeing actually go for more. But base set Hollow Raichu, not shadowless. Which, trust me guys, doing these PSA series really hurts my soul because I give away a lot of my cards, and one of my cards I gave away was a first edition Shadowless Raichu Hollow base set. Yeah. Okay, but, so yeah, these go for about $13. Now, PSA 7, which in my opinion, PSA 7 is not too hard to get, but I don't even know if this will get PSA 7 because of the whiting up here, but maybe this other one would probably, at least reach, above 7. And then probably the Japanese one. And remember, you have to keep in note that usually the Japanese cards go for less. And what's also kind of strange to note with the Japanese card is the Raichu is actually a little bit more orange than the English Raichu. Just something to note. But, so as is, these go for about $13 each. If you get a 7, it goes for about $45. 7's not that hard to get, in my opinion. So right off the bat, obviously worth PSA rating, not including the Japanese one because they're hard to sell. So if any of these got a 7, absolutely worth it. There was some data for 8, but I skipped right over it, and I went right into 9. So a 9 goes for about $200. So yeah, that's, definitely worth it. But hitting a 7, because 7s are fairly easy to get in my opinion. Yes, Hollow base set Raichu, worth having PSA rated, even if you're going to hit a PSA 7. With the Japanese card, and this one definitely should hit it, the 9s go for $90. I didn't really see a lot of information on Japanese 10s, but usually your Japanese cards hit 10s because usually you didn't play with your Japanese cards as a kid. And this one could honestly be a 10, so I have to find out later on my own what a Japanese 10 could go for. But I know a Japanese 9 goes for $90, so absolutely worth getting PSA rated. We'll move into, we'll just go ahead and do this fella. And once again, these are the Raichus I could find on the spot. I think I have some more Raichus upstairs. Not really certain. Okay, so Raichu GX, as is, $3. And the only real PSA information I can find on this sort of card, because it's such a newer card, is PSA 10. I don't know if mine... For me, it's really hard to grade the newer cards because of all the different hollow they have across the card. It's got a good feel to it. I know it sounds kind of strange to say about a card, but really, there's some new cards don't have a good feel to it. This one has a decent feel to it. I could see this getting a 10. The reason why it's risky, guys, is because what makes the difference between a 10 and a 9 is so small. And so if it's a 10, it goes up to $30. If it's a 9, there's no data on it, but if you have paid attention to anything about PSA, when you're already playing with that little bit of wiggle room, a 9 could be worth maybe $6. So I already paid more at that point to have it PSA rated. So to me, it's a risk. But I think I'll run the risk. I think I'll put it in my half PSA rated pile. Granted, that card is not flying off the shelves because it's just not that old. But as I've said in other videos, and it's going to be a continuing habit, cards only have a limited run. Once you have a PSA rated, it remains that PSA grade. And as time goes on, that card will increase in value. May not always be a lot, but it will increase in value. You just hope it's more than inflation. We will move on to Fossil. Saving the best for last, the Darks. So moving into Fossil. So I have a non-hollow and a hollow. We'll just go ahead and knock out the non-hollow real quick. So the non-hollow as is goes for $1. I can already tell you, I didn't even have to look it up. It's not worth PSA rating. It's $1 as is, because this one PSA rated, the hollow, the Fossil hollow as is actually goes for more money than the base set, which is insane to me. So this goes for about $20 as is. PSA 8, $90. So the jump isn't drastic. I mean, it's definitely worth it if you think you're gonna get PSA 8. Obviously PSA 8 or higher is worth it. But yeah, since this only goes up from 20 to 90 with a PSA 8, this is not going to skyrocket. Now, if you had a first edition non-hollow, then yeah, it's probably worth getting PSA rated. But I can tell you now, non-hollow Raichu Fossil, not worth PSA rating. Hollow Fossil Raichu, if you think it's going to be 8 or higher, in my opinion, absolutely worth rating. I will probably put this in my rating pile. Yeah, I'll send that one to be rated. Okay, now to the moneymakers. To me, as I said, I always thought Raichu was cool. Dark Raichu is definitely a different look compared to the other Raichus. The other Raichu cards that I had were kind of like front profiles. This one's more like, he's jumping out of the card, kind of. The only card of Raichu right now that I think is just, and I'm glad they made it this way, is I think Lieutenant Surge's Raichu is just one of the dopest Raichu cards there is, art-wise. And I'm glad they made it that way, because that was, the person in the show who had Raichu who beat the absolute shit out of Pikachu. I don't hate Pikachu, I remember Raichu being the one who gave him like a super hard time, and it was awesome. So moving on, we'll do just Dark Raichu Hollow before the first edition Dark Raichu. So Dark Raichu Hollow, as is, believe it or not, $30 to $40. And then what's crazy is Dark Raichu PSA 8, $45 to $50. So, I mean, if you're going to get 8s, it's not worth it at all. 9s, I didn't find a lot of data on for this card. Mine specifically, I probably won't have PSA rated. I'll have to think about that in the long run. But yeah, Dark Raichu, probably just better to sell as is. It's like $40 as is. So unless you're getting 9 or 10, which I didn't really see a lot of data on, really not worth it. And not because the card isn't worth anything, it's because the card's already worth so much without being PSA rated. And that's what this show is about. It's not always saying a card isn't worth anything. It's talking about whether or not the card's worth getting PSA rated, if it's worth the risk. And even at PSA 8, it's not worth it for Dark Raichu. Now, Dark Raichu First Edition, completely different story. So, as is, $100 to $120. I told you guys that first edition sticker or stamp, whatever you want to call it, is quite a multiplier. I know it looks scratched up. It is just the way it sits between all this plastic. So as you can see, not scratched up. I can't tell. I think that's just a factory line, and I really hope that is. Right. Let's see if it pops back up on camera. I think it's just a factory line. So as is, I said $100 to $120. PSA 9, which honestly this should get a PSA 9. There was some data on PSA 8. I skipped over it. I'm sorry. But PSA 8, obviously not worth it. As PSA 9's at the $200 mark. So it's got that $100 to $80 difference. Of course, the PSA 9 should sell quicker than the normal base set. I would buy a PSA 9 over a normal one if I were to choose. And here's that drastic PSA multiplier. This isn't a PSA 10. I know that. But if you did have a PSA 10 one, or one you believe should get a PSA 10, $725, folks. People will probably offer against that in the $550 to $600 range, but that is a huge difference between 9 and 10, and that is the actual prices. So first edition Dark Raichu, if you think you'll get 8, probably not worth it. If you think you'll get a 9 or higher, absolutely. As is still a great card to sell. I got this one for, if you divide it up, I got this one for like $2. I just got really lucky. It was in a random lot pull. It was good that I got lucky because I've had some other people screw me. But that's another stories. That's another series. This is PSA. Is it worth it? I would say for the most part, yeah, it's worth PSA rating your Raichus as long as they're at least. I don't know which one's older, Fossil or if Dark is older, but if your Pikachu, if your Raichu is basically Dark, Fossil, or base set, or even base set 2. I know I didn't show any base set 2s, but I also saw those while I was doing research. If there are any of those, I know off the bat, it's pretty much usually worth PSA rating it. That's about it. I just tried to knock out 2 episodes today. So I did Seedra earlier. I done Raichu now. If you guys really want me to do certain cards, you have to let me know in the comments. If you aren't tracking, check out our giveaways. You're going to have to dig a little bit deeper because it's not in the past few videos. But if we hit 50 subs, we'll do a giveaway. And as we increase in subs, we'll do bigger giveaways. I just got, this is one of the things I wasn't happy about, but I just got this eBay lot. The issue is the person got some of the cards dirty, like literally with dirt, and on top of that, they were a heavy smoker, so all the cards smell like cigarette smoke. So yeah, that was really upsetting because you can't see cigarette smoke smell via eBay, but that is the case with these. Oh yeah, no, that wasn't just it on the front. There's more rares. I got it for a decent price. It would have been an amazing price if it wasn't for like all of the terrible conditions at the front. One of the great pulls, so I thought the Blastoise and Venusaur was going to be good, but one of the great pulls that I guess I didn't notice when I was purchasing this is the first edition Hollow Dark Dragonite, which as far as I can tell looks to be in fantastic condition. If you're not tracking, a Dark Dragonite first edition Hollow can go for $100+ without being rated, so that's pretty good. So I mean, decent pulls. Just would have been nice if the person wasn't a heavy smoker, or someone there wasn't a heavy smoker. But you know, we continue in growth, and we can probably give away some of these cards. So yeah, check out the channel, like and subscribe, and then keep an eye open for the giveaway. I really hope you enjoyed this. PSA, is it worth it for Raichu? And you know, if no one lets me know, I'll probably do Vaporeon next, and maybe Magneton. But seriously, if you want me to do certain cards, just let me know in the comments. Thanks. Bye.